Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal live. Well, we're kind of live. Really, we're not. Facebook's not playing nice tonight. Danny's here. Danny,
Here.
what's that?
I'm here.
You are here, yeah. So we're going to record this episode. We're going to throw it out there live later on, or throw it out there for everybody to watch later on. For those of you on the podcast, you haven't missed a thing because it's the normal way that we deliver the show.
Right.
But before we get started, we do want to take care of some quick business. Dan, why don't you go ahead and talk about the people who help us?
Yeah. You know what? Exactly. You know, we're sitting here. We're doing our COVID thing going on, but you know, it's always good to help everybody get out there and support our supporters that support us. And you know what? The weather is being awesome. I know Mike grilled yesterday, so why not give Rebel6Rubs.com a check of them out? Check out their line of rubs that they have, and if you use the promo code North Journal at checkout, you'll get 20% off your order.
Absolutely.
And then, you know, while you're sitting there eating, hey, why don't you go on over to Buck Baits? Check out the stuff that he's got from his scents and stuff like that, and other product line stuff that he carries. And you know what? Over there, if you use the code Up North Journal, you'll get 20% when you check out on your order as well.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're doing, Mike, do you got your Hunter's Blend?
Absolutely, sure do.
All right, you know what? We drink Hunter's Blend here in the cabin, and if you go use the promo code capital UNJ, you'll get 10% on your order when you check out at huntersblendcoffee.com. But there's one more we got going on. We talked to Slade a couple weeks back. You know what? If you're thinking about getting that trip, but you want to trade somebody for something, nothing better than going over to tripsfortrade.com and using the promo code UpNorth20. You'll get 20% off your yearly membership to bring it down to about $100.
Absolutely.
So there you go. Get out there, support those people for us.
Well, Dan, how are you doing, man? I mean, I haven't seen you in, what, 3 weeks now?
It's been 3 weeks since I think we actually seen each other.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, it is one of those things that, man, I've been working from home.
Mm-hmm.
I've been barely getting out. I get out to go do my walks.
Okay. Well, that's good. Still getting the walks in. I've been doing the exercise. This weekend's been kind of a long weekend, but you know what? We've had technical problems. We're really about a half hour late into the show, so let's just get going here. I'm going to bring our guest in right now, and he's actually switched and moved around a little bit here, but we got Lincoln Rohn from Packer Maxx. Lincoln, how you doing, man?
Hey guys, what's going on?
Yeah, well, finally got you on here. I mean, it's been like pulling hen's teeth today trying to get this stream going, but you know what? We're just going to record it and we'll put it out there for everybody to watch here later tonight.
Yeah, that sounds good. We just got to adapt and overcome, just like we have to do on our daily lives right now, huh?
That's right. How are you doing over there on the west side of the state? How's this thing treating you guys?
You know, we're doing okay. You know, you know, obviously none of us have ever experienced anything even close to this in our lifetimes, and you know, we're being careful and you know, just trying to stay safe. I do have 8 of my immediate family members are in law enforcement, including my son, my son's wife, and my other son's wife, and 2 nephews, a cousin, and a nephew's wife. And so, you know, I keep those people in my prayers, along with all of our, you know, first responders, and my wife is in healthcare, and so I've got a lot of people, you know, that I love that I do a lot of worrying about, but and praying for. But
absolutely,
you know, so far so good, and we'll just hope it continues.
Right.
And
well,
you know, like I said, it's been weird, and you know. But we're plugging along, and you know, if it wasn't for, you know, FaceTime and you know, video chat, you know, it would be a whole different story. And you know, I can FaceTime with my folks, you know, because they're completely shut off to the outside world because my dad has emphysema. Mm-hmm. So if he gets it, you know, it would kill him.
Right.
And you know, so we've been able to video chat and Skype and FaceTime. And then, you know, we've got a new grandson here not too long ago that is growing right before our very eyes that we haven't seen in 4 weeks. And So we were able to do a drive-by, on Friday and see, actually see him in person. So, but it's been tough, no question. How are you guys doing over there?
Yeah, we're hanging in there. I think the hardest thing for me was yesterday. My grandkids came over. My oldest daughter and her husband brought the kids over. We stood out in the front yard, and we're all. It's like, I hate to use the term, but it's like we all had the plague. We're all standing apart.
Yeah.
And my year and a half old granddaughter started running towards me, and I had to run away from her, and it became a game, for her sake.
Right.
But man, I just about broke down in tears. It's like I can't even reach out and grab her and hug her.
Oh, yeah, I feel you, man. I when we left my daughter's house with her, with the kids standing in the front yard, man, I broke down in tears. I was just like, this sucks.
Right.
But what do you do?
Well, I've got some people that are in the healthcare industry down south. I've got 3 family members. I got 2 cousins and my aunt who work in healthcare, and they're dealing with it directly. I got some friends up here that are as well. And Danny, how about you? I mean, give a shout out to the healthcare workers in your family.
Absolutely. I got several cousins that are on the front lines, nurses, EMTs, a doctor, couple of doctors. So you know what, absolutely, there's a big shout out to them people on the front lines that are out there. You can tell how it's even affecting the show Live PD that they usually do live was doing a special episode that they were all social distancing, so you can tell all around the country how it's affecting everybody. And here personally, exactly that way, when things happen and like I got to work from home and we're returned back to work as whenever. But definitely Lincoln and to my cousins out there, a big shout out to the first responders.
I want to give a shout out to my wife too. She's working as a checkout clerk at a grocery store here locally. She's been there for a while, and they have no PPE, man. They ain't got nothing to protect them. So
they got a piece of plexiglass.
Yeah. She does have a mask now. She's got a mask that she's using, but. I'm wearing a mask at work. I'm wearing my ScentLock neck gaiter. It's a 3-ply, and people look at me kind of like, well, what good's that going to do? I said, well, I'm actually protecting you in case I cough or sneeze. It's not going to keep anything from really going in, but it's more to help keep, if you do happen to cough or sneeze. And
I've been wearing my ScentLocks, when we went up shed hunting yesterday, and I wore my to the property, and I wore my ScentLock mask and stayed like 25-30 feet away from my buddy, and
did you find any shed?
We did not.
The sheds are practicing social distancing as well, huh?
Yes, they are.
Well, you know what? Let's lighten the mood here. We're all kind of stuck. We're all in this together, and like I've seen on Facebook, the hashtag "Hunt Through It." We need to hunt through it. Another one was Archery is Immune. PSE put that out this week, and I like those types of things. And the reason we got you on tonight is twofold. But you've got Packer Maxx. That's your product. That's your company. And you're a supporter here of us here at Up North Journal, and we wanted to give you a little bit of time to talk about what's new at Packer Maxx and what should people be thinking about, and are you still selling Packer Maxx right now during this crisis?
Yeah. So we are continuing to sell units. I'm going to say it's probably down. It's down, definitely, no question.
Right.
But I'm still, and it is deemed agricultural, and so we're able to continue. And I have, I'm basically, doing everything myself right now, and trying to just fulfill orders as fast as I can, and but we're making it work, and my suppliers have been awesome with me, and fortunately, otherwise I was really close to having to close up because I was going to be out of product. And but so we're continuing to roll, and pardon the pun, and
nicely done.
Right on. And so it's definitely has affected my supply So people have been, just amazing. My customers, I just say, hey, and I'm asking for, 10 to 14 days, to ship, just so I can keep up. And, we've had a couple of delays that I've had to let people know about, and they're just been great about it, And, they understand we're all in this together and, doing the best we can. So, but yeah, we've been able to keep rolling, and right now is a great time throughout the country. The northernmost stretches of the country is probably a little early yet, but there's a lot of food plot prep work being done right now. I'm talking to guys down in Texas and Georgia, Mississippi, Tennessee. Been shipping them all over the country, and they're right in the thick of it, and they're using this time to get outside and just try to stay. It's amazing what some of this will do for your mental psyche, and getting out and planting and turning some dirt.
Amen to that.
And it is very therapeutic, and I know that anybody that has done any food plotting or hobby farming or gardening, it is definitely therapeutic. And so there's a lot of people taking advantage of it right now, and I think that's probably a lot to do with why I continue to sell product.
I think you're right, Lincoln.
Through this.
I think really part of just getting outdoors, when you're told to stay in and shelter, you start to think about it, and you're like, hold on, I got to get outside, because I take a 2-hour walk every day now, and that 2 hours comes right after work, and it's like totally just, let's just de-stress, listen to the birds, whatever, maybe some music. But like you said, getting out, and is it the right time to start definitely thinking about, getting that food plot? I know some people can get to their food plots real easy, or some people might have to travel. So is now the time to start thinking of what, where, and how?
Yeah, definitely. And we start our planning process, early, and February I start mapping out our plots and figuring out what we're going to plant, and we do a lot of planting of clover, Northwoods Whitetails red clover, over all of our hunting plots. And so that does save us some work in the spring. We all of our hunting plots are going to be, we were just up, and that clover is popping, and so we did some frost seeding over top of those plots as well with the Northwoods red clover, and kind of get that ball rolling up here in northern, in the northern states. You can do some frost seeding. You can, start. You can turn some dirt if you want, and you do have to wait for the soil temps to hit. 60 to 65 degrees is probably your wheelhouse for most seed that you're going to be planting. So
okay, so getting your orders in, getting your maps set and all ready to go. It seems like get a plot map out, start mapping, and start doing that. And I bet you I bet you we're coming up on a break. So how about we take a break? We'll come back and we'll continue the process of getting us into spring planning.
All right, we're gonna step outside. We'll be right back after this. Okay, well, now's when we normally say, everybody out there, send us some questions, but we're not live tonight. So give me just a second here. Let me save this off, and we'll get on to the next segment.
All right.
Oh, it's but Lincoln, be nice now. Don't say anything you wouldn't want anybody to hear, because this is going to be part of the record. So
we're still on.
We're still on. That's right.
Yes, we are.
So not that you would do that. I know you wouldn't.
I would never do that.
Right. Okay. Hang on one second. That's saved, and we will get going with our next segment here. Stand by. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back. Second segment of the show. Sitting here talking with Lincoln Rohn from Packer Maxx, all the way over from the western side of Michigan. You know what? We're social distancing, but that doesn't mean we still can't have fun and talk about the great outdoors.
Absolutely.
So
that's right.
So when we left for break, we were talking about the getting into the spring planning. So I've got my bag of seed.
Yep.
And I've got, what do I need? What should I do? Can I do a What should I do, Lincoln? I know one of the last steps is one of the great steps is using the Packer Maxx. But if I'm looking at a farrow field, can I just drag it? Can I? What? Give me some tips here that can help me get into the field, get the seed down, use that Packer Maxx, and get me a food plot.
Well, there's a lot of different ways you can approach it. So you can, from having a tractor with a disc or a tiller to having a quad runner with one of those, what do they call I forget what the heck they call them. It's a small disc that goes on the backside of your.
Yes. Yep,
ATV.
I know exactly. Yep.
And so you don't. I mean, just enough to scratch the ground up. But your best bet is if you're going to get too serious about it, is you're going to want to do a soil test. Send your soil in, find out where where your pH is at, where your fertilizer needs are. Because otherwise, if you don't know any of that, you're throwing money away because you're just guessing. So if you have
have you ever, you're talking about that. Real quick, have you ever? Mm-hmm. I've seen this on some videos that they do a burn off. Have you ever burned your field to get to that to then get a soil sample?
Yep. Yeah, we've definitely have done that. Most of the time, we'll either burn them, in the spring like this after you get the dead grasses and stuff, or we've also killed them with chemicals, Roundup. Cuss word I know for some people, but we'll kill it off with Roundup and then burn the vegetation, and that works really well. And you can either till, you can disc, or you can just do a no-till version. A lot of guys are just broadcasting into even if you burned it, you can just broadcast into that, and then get your Packer Maxx Cultipacker, and you can pack the field, get your seed set down into the soil, and you could, if you're gonna till it, you get your fertilizer and lime down, you till it in, you broadcast, and then you would pack it with the Packer Maxx, depending on what you're planting. If you're doing clovers, you would pack it, and then you would broadcast, and then you'd pack again. Or if you're doing larger seeds, you would broadcast into the tilled soil, and then you'd pack again, and then you'd pack it in, and set that seed down into the soil, and then sit back and pray for some rain. One of the great things about using a cultipacker like the Packer Maxx is you can you get there's so many benefits to it. It's the last step in the whole process, but it really helps with seed to soil contact, seed germination rates, moisture retention, the channels that are left in the soil after you pack. It holds that moisture there, and it channels that moisture to the bottom, so it holds it there. It lets it absorb. Plus, by packing the soil, you're taking the fluffy soil, and you're compacting it, so it's going to naturally hold that moisture better. So you're gonna have seed is expensive, so you're gonna have better germination rates. You're gonna have just a better overall performing food plot. And a lot of guys today are taking, they're serious about their food plotting. So, they want to maximize, their investment. You got a lot of money invested in lime, fertilizer, equipment.
Time.
Time. Yep. Time is money. And, why do all this and then skip the last step? That's probably one of the most important steps. And and not use a cultipacker like the Packer Maxx on it. It just doesn't make sense. But it's probably one of the most overlooked things in the food plot industry is using a Packer Maxx, because you got they'll drag it with a fence, or they'll with a skid or something like that, just to try to bury that seed. Well, they're not. They're either going too deep with it or not deep enough, and they just don't have good germination rates, and they wonder why their success rate is not what it could be. And
Right, exactly.
So it's very important. Farmers have been using, cultipackers for generations, and there's a reason for that. And it's a very important step in the process. And I have a lot of people that have purchased a Packer Maxx that have gone through, I call it, kind of like the gone through the steps. They start out with a fence drag, and they're like, okay, well, that's not quite doing it. And then they go to to a lawn roller, with just a flat lawn roller, and that's, it's better, but it's still not great. And then they buy a Packer Maxx and they use it, and they're like, why didn't I buy one of these things 10 years ago? And
exactly.
it's just.
And speaking of the Packer Maxx, you actually have a couple different models that people can choose from and buy, correct?
Yeah, yep. We have 5 different models. We have a standard unit, which is kind of the economy version. It's still, still a great unit. It has a tubular frame. It's got the scraper bar yet, and it has nylon bushings. And then we have the heavy-duty Gamekeeper series, which is endorsed by Gamekeeper, Mossy Oak Gamekeeper, which is, that's been a huge relationship for me with them. And they actually reached out to me and wanted to put their name on the Packer Maxx, and they don't do that for just any piece of equipment or any product. It's got to be quality, and they understand, and they actually use it, and recognize the benefits. They recommend a cultipacker on almost every bag of seed they sell, and they didn't have one. So we have the Gamekeeper series. It's a 4-foot, it's an ATV or a UTV. Heavy duty 3/8 inch steel frame, weighs about 400 pounds filled with water. And then we have a 8-foot version of that same unit. It's 2 of the 4-footers ganged together. And then we have a 4-foot 3-point hitch model and an 8-foot 3-point hitch model.
Well, you sent us some pictures here, and the one I've got up right now, it's got the little tiny tires on the upper side of that.
Yes, sir.
Is that something that you've just recently added to the heavy-duty ones?
Yep, it's brand new. As a matter of fact, that is actually the picture I sent you is the first prototype that we've been working on that all winter. That was one of my goals this year, was to get the wheel kit made. Okay. And it can be retrofit to any HD unit that's out there. That's another COVID-19 delay. They are at the production facility. They're cut, they're bent, they've got the shaft welded on, and they are waiting to be powder coated.
Oh, okay.
So I'll be releasing the wheel kit very soon. I'm actually going to be meeting with my web guys to add it to the website tomorrow, and so it'll be on there, and you can pre-order if you want. They're just it's a great addition, because you can there's so many guys that have to go travel to their food plots across their properties. Right. You might be going through ditches with rocks. You might be, so that was one of the biggest things that I've been asked for, is a wheel kit, and we made it happen. And it's a great kit. You can bolt it on any HD unit. You flip it over, and you hook it to your quad or your tractor or whatever the case may be. Bring it back to your spot, and then you unhook it and flip it back over, and you're ready to roll.
God, yeah. So ready to roll.
Yep.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
I thought that was new this year. When I saw that, when you sent that picture, I said that's different. So.
Yep. Yeah, we just, like I said, that's actually the final prototype in that you see there, and it's a great, like I said, it's a great addition, and it's really gonna help, with those guys that are dragging it through ditches and stuff. So, and you gotta, it is polyethylene. They're extremely durable. Mm-hmm. But anything you can do to extend the life of it is gonna be beneficial. So.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, so I'm really excited to get that launched. And again, with the Corona stuff going on right now, I'm hoping to get product next week. you know, if all goes well. So then I can start shipping that out right away too. So
Gotcha. That's good. You know.
But yeah, you can see that on our website. You know, like I said, we're going to be adding it to the website tomorrow. So.
Okay. That's what I was just getting ready to ask you is where can people take a look at it or inquire about it? But you said you're going to put it on the website. So.
Yep, it'll be at packermax.com, 2 X's.
Okay. So make sure you guys get over there and check that out. Take a good look at it. And if you've already got one, so this is something that's going to be able to be bolted right on existing ones as well.
Yeah, the existing HD unit. Yep, the 4-foot HD.
Okay. Now with the
that is definitely my biggest seller. Probably 5 to 1.
Okay.
You know, over any other model. That's why we focus basically on the heavy duty unit.
So this would be an add-on as well for somebody that's buying the HD unit. They can upgrade and have it already get that in with their kit, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. They can buy it. Yeah, there'll be you can add it, and I'll probably have a separate SKU. You know, the HD with the wheel kit.
Gotcha.
And then I'll have the wheel kit separate, as for guys that already have the units, and then I'll have obviously just the standard or just the HD unit too. So.
Okay.
Did you have that on display at any of your shows?
I did not, because I didn't have I had the drawings. But I did not have the final prototype yet, so I didn't want to put the cart in front of the horse, so to speak.
Right,
so
exactly.
I kind of held back and right, wrong, or indifferent, and just because I hadn't been tested, it hadn't, we went through a testing phase. Obviously, we needed to get the prototypes onto the unit, fill it with water, and drive it around, make sure it was gonna, stand up, and so. So everything passed, and we got it approved, and we're ready to roll. So, but yeah, and then we had a couple of our shows that I could have talked about it on were canceled. So
right, exactly.
The Gaylord show and the Illinois Deer Classic were both canceled. So I got in under the wire. We just got the Iowa show in under the wire, and then that's when all hell broke loose, so pardon the pun.
Right,
so.
Exactly.
So you were out in Iowa when that hit, when this all kind of started taking place. You were out at one of the shows.
Yeah, I was in Iowa, and we were really wondering how it was going to affect attendance because it had just broke basically. But the show was awesome. It was just a great show. It's the first time I'd been to the Iowa Deer Classic, and I tell you what, if you can get out there, it's an awesome show. I met some really awesome people that I've watched on TV for a long time. I met Jeff and David Lindsay from the Lindsay Way, former Drury Outdoors. I met Pat and Nicole Reeves, and then I also met Brandon Jennings and Dawn Jensen from Drury Outdoors, and Dawn, we're hoping to get her in a commercial, but again, that's been delayed because of all this crap. So
right.
So that's kind of neat having a Drury team member that's been on. Oh wow, can you guys hear that?
Yeah.
So we have a 8 o'clock neighborhood howl.
Hey, you know what? You got to do what you got to do to keep spirits up, right?
Yeah, it's awesome, man. It really is. We set such a cool little community here. We're in a little lake community, and that's something that everybody does to have fun and just kind of get out on the decks and laugh at each other. So it's pretty neat.
Well, you better watch Danny, because when he hears that, it means something different for him up north in the UP.
I ain't staying in the woods.
The wolves are coming.
Yeah, I ain't staying in the woods, that's for sure. But
right.
You know what? How much water does the Packer Maxx hold?
So you know what? I don't know exactly how many gallons. I've never actually measured it, but the HD weighs about 400 pounds. It's 100 pounds empty, so it's about 300 pounds of water. What is that divided by?
What does a gallon of water weigh?
7 pounds, I think.
Okay. He's doing the math.
You're talking about 43 gallons, roughly.
37.5 gallons at 8 pounds a gallon.
Is that what water weighs? 8 pounds a gallon?
Yeah, I think so.
I thought it was 7, but whatever.
So
it's,
exactly.
It's in the 40. It's roughly 40 gallons.
So why I asked that was because one of the tips I've seen that have been done with the Packer Maxx is that people are really getting into creating water holes.
Yep.
And, they're done. They did everything they want with their food plot, and they're looking at this thing, and they got, just about 40 gallons of water. So what do you do with it? Well, you put a little, got a little pool or something that you created a little watering hole. You just unplug it, and you fill it up.
Yep. And you can see the little tap here on the end. I got the picture up right now, Link. So
Yep. Yeah, it's got an 1.5-inch fill hole with a plug, and you just Jared from the Habitat podcast actually kind of came up with that idea.
Mm-hmm.
He pulls it up next to his watering hole, his drum,
mm-hmm.
and just drains it right into the water and adds 40 gallons. So it really works well. You can water trees with it. Your
mm-hmm.
fruit trees. You can. A lot of guys have no way to get water back to some of their remote spots, and they're trying to spray with backpack sprayers, and so they buy these little transfer pumps.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a little hose that goes down into the Packer Maxx, and they transfer. It's a battery operated transfer pump. They fire it up and they fill their backpack sprayer with, their mix of glyphosate and or fertilizer or whatever, and they fill their sprayers with it. So. A lot of different things you can do with it besides just, and you can maintain roads with it. You can, a lot of guys have, 2 tracks going through their properties. You get, as you're using your quad on it, it gets that center, how the centers build up in the,
mm-hmm.
and, it helps keep your roads, maintain your road system. And, so it's a good, lot of different things you can do with it.
Well, the thing I learned last year, we took it down to Indiana, down to our lease, and we had we made this little honey hole. We cleared out some trees in this small little spot. We wanted to put a little kill plot.
Yep.
And after we pulled stumps and everything, we took the Packer Maxx and we were going to level the ground for where the stumps were. And as we were going around in circles, I noticed that the actual grooves, by turning, is actually cutting and tearing the soil up. And it's almost like a small till as well.
Yeah, you roughed. I remember that. You had it was. I mean, and that's really all you need. I mean,
right.
You don't need. As a matter of fact, a lot of people are going to light tillage, very light tillage, and
mm-hmm.
You can, if you've got bare dirt, you can get stuff to grow. So. Once you broadcast onto that dirt, you would pack it again. And I would, if you're doing stuff like that, I usually recommend increasing your the amount of seed. Like maybe go whatever the recommendation is, go another 25% of seed.
Okay.
And then pack it in and call it a day.
Yeah.
So
give us hunters a chance to figure something out. We'll come up with a way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
So and then that and then you can like I said, I've got a lot of guys using it's the Groundhog Max. That's what it is. On their quads, and then just enough to scratch that surface and get some dirt showing, and you guys are off to the races with a great plot once you pack it all in.
I'll tell you what, we're bumping up here on our second break. Let's take another break. We come back. You've been involved in something else that's
mm-hmm.
really pertains to us hunters, and I find it very interesting. So when we come back, we're not going to tell you what it is just yet, but we come back, we're going to get into what else you've been doing. So we're going to step outside, and we'll be right back after this.
Cool.
All right, let me save this one off, and we'll get going again.
I wish I could turn my... We are going to have a beautiful sunset on the lake again tonight. That is one thing that is absolutely...
It does wonders for you, man.
Oh, it sure does. We have seen so many beautiful sunsets over and it's actually Lincoln Lake.
Got a lake with your own namesake on it. That's good.
I do.
I like it.
It seemed fitting.
Right. Okay, hang on one second here. All right, here we go. Stand by in 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back, third segment of the show. Talking with Lincoln Rohn from Packer Maxx. We've talked 2 segments about food plots. We've talked about Packer Maxx and what's new with Packer Maxx. But Lincoln, you started dabbling and got your hands into real estate and selling real estate, specifically to outdoorsmen.
Yeah, so I got my real estate license, and I sell for, my broker is Stony Creek Realty, and we specialize in hunting property, farms, and recreational properties. And I started. I'm just starting to kind of get into it. I actually sold my very first property a couple of weeks ago, and again, we were able to close just before all this happened, so that was very nice. Yeah, so Stony Creek Realty, if if you're looking for hunting property, a farm, a cabin, definitely hit me up.
Okay.
And I can help you with that anywhere in Michigan. And it's been really interesting. Matter of fact, I just showed a property this morning, 43 acres right here in 4 miles from my house in Greenville. And it's a beautiful piece, absolutely gorgeous, and it's just like a big major travel corridor. And I tell you what, it was awesome. That's been fun for me too, is to get out and tour some of these properties. Get boots on the ground, look at all these different properties around the state. It's been pretty cool. So,
have you found anything that kind of shocked you, as far as like, wow, I never thought about this? Maybe seen something that somebody else had done on their property that you might incorporate into your place?
Everybody's got different setups. It is interesting because, and I'm finding that a lot of property owners are doing habitat work now. Mm-hmm. And everybody has their own takes on, there's all these podcasts, all this information out there on the internet, and Facebook and all these groups. People are learning along the way. And what I think is really cool is that any habitat improvement is a benefit to not only whitetails, but to many different species of wildlife. And, all the improvements we've done on our own property, I've noticed a huge increase in grouse numbers.
Okay.
Awesome.
And, we're doing all these, hinge cuts, and we've done timber stand improvements, and, all of a sudden we have a great population of grouse. And our whitetails are loving it. So, but yeah, I've seen a lot of people that have been doing a lot of work on their properties that 10 years ago you just didn't see. Okay. And so it's kind of neat. But and again, everybody kind of has their own take on hinge cutting and food plot architecture. It's just kind of neat.
Well, with that being said, and now that you're into real estate, and you said, and you're right, this has really kind of taken off in the last 10 years or so. People are really getting into the habitat. Does that add value as far as the increased value of the property?
Absolutely.
Okay. If somebody were to do, on average, what do you think it increases the value, percentage-wise?
It's hard to put a number on that, but without question, if a farm is set up and ready to rock, and it's done right, it definitely increases the value. I'm going to say, and it depends on the size of the property,
sure,
the location. I mean, there's a lot of variables, but I'm going to say it's going to bring your property value up 10 to 15%, possibly up to 20%.
Okay.
On a farm that's ready to roll. Some guys, I have talked to a few people that want a blank slate though. So, it just depends on the person, the buyer, the seller. There's a lot of variables involved in what I'm finding. So,
and look, I know you just kind of got into this this side of the business, but I got to think, especially after this current plague crisis, or whatever you want to call it, COVID crisis is over with, I got to think people are going to want to start saying, I need a place to get away to up north, just to kind of get secluded and isolate a little bit in case something like this happens again. Are you guys planning, or are you thinking ahead that this might be the case?
Yeah, I think no matter what the economy does, I think that land values are gonna stay steady, at least for some time. and yeah, I think you're gonna find that there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna be looking at this situation, just like you said, and going, even if it's only 20 acres, let's get someplace that we can, I'll say bug out to.
Right.
Just like when all this started happening, I called I actually put in a group text to all my family members and said, listen, if push comes to shove, and we can't contact each other, you are to grab all of your guns. I sound like a prepper. I'm not, but I'm just being real.
Right.
Grab your guns and any non-perishables and go directly to the cabin.
Right.
And that's where I'll be. And so, if for some reason we can't get a hold of each other, that's, to head north. And, we'll set up, we've got a pond full of fish. We've got, a huge garden. We've got food plots. We have wildlife, even if we lost power, we've got wood heat. And,
right. Country boy can survive.
Yes, sir. And it comes down to it. If we lost power, we didn't have a pump. We could put a hand pump in, or we could boil water out of the pond, or whatever.
Right. I've thought about that before, and Danny, I got to imagine you have too. It's
absolutely. I've thought about that myself, because it's like, head north.
Yeah. Well, and that's a lot of people right now are it's just a bad situation. Like, people are, how are you supposed to tell a guy that lives in Detroit that owns a cabin up north that he can't go there? It's a free country.
Right.
And at the same time, I understand that people that live up there sure as heck don't want people from down here going up there. So, I mean, you got to use your head, and it's just uncharted territory that we've never experienced before. So,
well, this weekend, Danny and I, we talked about it a little bit, and I said, we ought to just go up to camp, up to my camp. I'd like to put out some trail cameras, and just go up for the day and come back. And then the more I thought about it, it's like, well, what happens if I'm up on the property and I get hurt? You fall and break a leg. Well, the nearest hospital is a half hour away at best anyway. But, then you're putting yourself in a situation where you're going into a hospital setting where there's people that's got this virus. And it's like, trail cameras right now for me aren't worth that risk.
Right. Right. And you've got, you're exposing then first responders. So, I mean, there's, I don't know, man. I just, but again, to your point, I think a lot of people are going to start looking at this and going, okay, we need to be better prepared, not only as a nation, but as people, as citizens, for if this happens again. And again, I'm not a big prepper or anything like that, but there's some things that I'm going to be changing in my day to day to prepare.
Right. Right. Like, have enough toilet paper on hand so you don't have to go out and buy 18 cases of it.
What is that about? My gosh, I'm scratching my head. I'm like, I suppose you got to take care of business, but dang,
right? You got to put the food in before you worry about it coming out.
Exactly. So, but yeah, at the end of the day, I think real estate. I'm not an economist by any. I feel that real estate is going to be, continue to be solid. Once we get through this mess, I hope and pray that things recover quickly and we can get back to, business as usual.
Well, speaking of that, where you're at, so now, do you cover just a certain area over there, or do you travel a farther distance, or what's your range for you over there?
Yeah, I can sell anywhere in Michigan. So, and I have access to, there's a huge network of I have access to anywhere in the state. So I just sold a property 75 miles away down in Fenville. That's that one I just sold. And I actually have another farm that I'm going to be listing, hopefully relatively soon. We're kind of waiting to see what happens with this mess, but right down the street that I actually picked up that listing off my sign. So, and then this property that we just showed, Stony Creek is going to be listing agent on that I just showed today. What a fantastic farm that is, and pretty sure that one might not even hit the market. That one might be sold. So, but yeah, I can go anywhere. I can go anywhere in the state. I can find property. I can sell property you have. You know, we have a great network of people that, you know, are hunters that are either selling or looking, and so, yeah, it's a.
You know, that's interesting. It's interesting you said that about a piece of property not even making it to the market, which the other real estate market, residential, I think is having a pause, but I don't think they're having a complete break. I think people are still doing what they need to do because their situation, whatever it might be, is still continuing. It doesn't stop.
Right.
So
and
I hope you're right about rebound.
People are adapting too. So like, you know, it is making it very difficult because right now there's almost all the townships are down to a skeleton crew. It's very hard to get title work done because title companies can't, you know, if nobody's in the township offices, it makes it very difficult. You know, so they're doing window closings where you have a packet. They hand it to you in your car. You can wipe it down if you want. You open it. Everything's marked where you need to sign. You sign in your car. You put it back in the sealed, you know, those, you know what I'm talking about, those plastic envelopes. You seal it back up, hand it back through the window, and, you know, they'll go in and get you copies, and away you go. Or email copies, whatever. And so, you know, the industry is definitely, and you can do, I mean, there's so many things that you can do with electronic signatures now. A lot of times, you know, like the guy that we're listing, you know, he's down in Florida, and it's just all going to be done electronically. So you don't have to have a check. They can, you know, they'll just electronically deposit it right in your checking account. So
that's the way we sold our cottage up in Mackinac. We didn't have to go up there at all. I was blown away, and that was 3 years ago. I was like, wow, that's cool. Do it all right here online. Boom, you're done. And, you know, the next day or two, whenever it finalizes, there's the funds are in your bank accounts.
So it's so there's a lot of ways to get around it, but, you know, it does make it a little bit more difficult. But, you know, again, where there's a will, there's a way, and we'll get it done. So,
well, looking at recreational property or a farm, or like you said, or hunting property, I want to kind of hone in just a little bit on hunting property for somebody that, let's say Danny and I were you know, looking at our first piece of property, hunting property. Maybe we've hunted state land all these years, and all of a sudden we find a place we want to look at. What do you think the biggest mistake most new landowners make when looking for hunting property? I mean, what would you advise them on as far as one of the key things to look at?
I think it's going to come down to kind of your hunting style. You know, a lot of guys have, you know, they have to be you have to kind of adapt to the property, and unfortunately, there's a lot of variables involved from what your budget is, you know, the location you're looking, you know, what your want list is.
Gotcha.
Or your wish list is. You know, so I think you kind of have to be careful, and you don't want to go into a property and get too overexcited, and, you know, and then buy the wrong piece. That's not going to be right for you. So I think that's where you know, my job comes in, is to really analyze your wish list, you know, your budget, you know, where are you looking for this property? What are your wants and needs? Do you need a facility to stay on or not? You know, there's just a lot of variables involved.
Well, yeah, one of the biggest things I think, I look back at my span of hunting with my dad and the properties that we had at the time, and I think that the one thing that I personally, for me, that we way overlooked was surrounding properties. You know, what's around your property. You know, when you hunt a piece, whether it's 10 acres or 1,000 acres, what surrounds your property and helps those animals move into or out of your area, along with the surrounding properties. Who's the landlord? Can you get along with your neighbor? And I think that's been some of the hugest mistakes we've made.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. And even the property that I showed today, I personally know one of the adjoining property owners. I happen to know that the area is in the QDMA area. It's in the new 4-point APR zone. It's got so many things going for it, and so yeah, there's definitely a lot of things like that to consider for sure. Again, that's kind of where I come into play, is to kind of analyze that stuff and let my buyer know, hey, this is going to be something you're going to either want to keep looking, or this is something maybe you want to consider.
Right. Yeah.
So that's excellent point.
Speaking of considering, I got a question that I want to consider asking you, but I think we need to go to a break, and then after the break, I'll ask it.
All right, well, let's do that. We'll step outside real quick. We'll be right back after this.
Sure.
Okay, last segment.
Tell you what, that temperature's dropping like a rock out here.
Sun's starting to go down.
The sun is set.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it has. I'm looking outside the window now. It's like I'm paying attention to what's going on here in the studio. And yeah, sun is done gone. What do you mean sun's setting? It's done set.
It's
gone.
Oh, that's good stuff. Well, one more segment here and we'll let you go. We'll try
no problem.
We'll try to keep you from freezing there.
Well,
no
the good
problem.
part is it's too cold for mosquitoes.
Right?
Yeah, we'll freeze the corona right out of me.
There you go.
I think that's one thing too with this whole thing, is we've tried to keep light of it.
You got to. Yeah.
Kind of, we call it the coronas. You didn't bring in the coronas, did you?
Yeah, I'll call it the COVID. Don't want to catch the COVID,
You don't want the COVID.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
It's got a little roll to it, a little. Hey, if you didn't have a little fun along the way, it's not that we're making. I mean, we know people are passing away on this and getting seriously ill, but for your own sanity, you gotta kind of put things in perspective, and you gotta laugh every now and then.
Yeah, you do, absolutely.
So, all right, here we go. Stand by in 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back. Last segment of the show. Right before we stepped outside for a break, Danny said he had a question. So, Danny, what we got?
Hey, I was thinking, Lincoln, can you were talking about how you're selling a farm, and I know some of these what you say as a farm, they do have tillable acreage. And I don't know that aspect of it, but could you potentially buy a piece of property and be able to lease off to make money back? I'm just asking because I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. There's and again, I just kind of getting my feet wet in this, but I've been interested in property sales for quite some time, and with our own property up north, there's different things that you can do to generate income off your property, whether it be timber harvest, whether it be you can lease. You can actually get on good tillable. You can get a nice chunk of money back.
Okay, because I didn't know, and I was like, I know you could make money off the timber, but I was like, okay, so you got all this tillable field for farmers, but you can. Okay.
Yep, definitely, and that's one of the things that we do look at is income potential on a property, and like the one that I just showed today doesn't have any tillable, but it's got some great spots for food plots, and it has probably right out of the gate probably $15,000 to $20,000 worth of timber harvest available. So. Which you may not do it right away, but you at least know that that money is there when that time comes. So yeah, tillable is definitely a good way to make a great income off your property, and still a lot of guys will lease to farmers, and then they ask as part of that lease to leave some of the crops standing for their wildlife.
Right, exactly. So cool. I didn't know, and I just want to throw that out there as a question because I see it and it's like, wow, that'd be a good piece of property. But what do I do with all this open land?
Yep. Yeah, you can lease it out. Farmers there's tons of farmers that are just hankering to buy, to lease that property, and they lease a lot these days because then they don't have the investment of the actual property investment.
Well, before we get off topic on this, I'm gonna put your business card up. It's what it looks like to me. This is where they can find you. If anybody, even out of state, that's looking for some hunting property or recreational property in Michigan.
Yep.
Okay, so right there, Lincoln Rohn, 616-550-5779, or give them a call over at Stony Creek Realty, 734-216-1822.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, here in the last segment, we got about maybe 8 minutes left. We went a little long in one segment, but I want to kind of wrap up. And where's Leg at? Let them go, let them grow.
So we had a meeting earlier this year to kind of figure out where we wanted to take the group. We still have about 35,000 members. It's become a great resource at this point. We are still in full support of antler point restrictions and trying to move that ball forward. We are going to, we're still kind of shifting gears here a little bit, and but yeah, we're still going to continue down that road, and we've been trying to kind of be an educational, we've kind of transitioned into educational, letting people know the benefits of antler point restrictions, or even just, passing bucks in general. You can find a lot of habitat information on the page. You can find, I just posted a Jeff Sturgis's video with the, the water hole video. And
okay, yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Education, I think, is definitely a valuable tool to use with what you guys are doing. And at 35,000 strong, you got a lot of mouths there to spread the word and educate more and more than you typically would normally have. And that's awesome that you're continuing that. And I don't know,
and it's almost to the point where the powers that be in the DNR and the NRC, we're in a transition period in the NRC, so we're kind of testing the waters there. We have this test going on in the in the 3-county test with a 4-point on the side APR, in the 3 counties here in the center of the state. We have the Northwest 12, and so we're kind of in a period right now where we're kind of in a wait and see attitude with that test area, and kind of where they're going to go with that. And once we nail that down, and we're going to try.
Is that a 3-year test?
What's that?
Is it a 3-year test?
I believe it's a 4-year test. So,
okay.
But can you imagine Ionia County, Mecosta County, Montcalm County with a 4 on the side APR? I mean, it's just going to be a game changer even with CWD, because there's going to be guys that are still going to be managing their herd as they see fit, and doing what's right for the herd. And you got a 4-point on the side APR, you're going to have a lot of guys that are going to be shooting does because they can't shoot the little bucks anymore to put for food, so they're going to shoot some does. You're going to have a whole age class of animals make it through to 3 and 4 years old, and there's going to be some, you mark my words, you watch those 3 counties, there's going to be some hogs shot out of there in the next couple of years.
Well, so, that's the whole goal of it, is doing the management, but also letting them get into that next age class.
Yep. So. And and with CWD, there's been some, and again, I just posted this video on the page. It's the United Michigan Deer Farmers Association. Mm-hmm. I've learned a lot about deer farms over the last couple of years. We kind of teamed up with them a little bit to try to, let our legislature know that we're in this together,
right?
And I am convinced that private money is going to find a cure for this CWD, and there's been some great strides in genetic testing. This humic acid, if you jump on the Let 'em Go, Let 'em Grow page, I shared that video, and Dr. Dennis Simpson. They have a research facility, and it's state of the art. It's over by Detroit, and they are doing genetic testing. They're doing testing on humic acid, and they've actually been able to prove that humic acid degrades the prion to the point where it's ineffective. And so that is a game changer. And it's a natural fertilizer, humic. I don't know the ins and outs of it 100%. I'm only going by what I saw in the video, that this humic acid is actually produced as the forest lands, as the as the stuff
decays.
Decays.
Okay.
And so you could just, for instance, if you had a farm a deer farm, you could fertilize your whole farm with humic acid and potentially eliminate the possibility of a prion living on your farm. And if you have genetic resistance, you're going to be in the wheelhouse, because these farmers, these deer farmers, I'm telling you, if they find one deer on that property that has it, it's going to be over. They're going to be shuttered. They're going to kill every deer on the farm, and it's going to be done. And these guys have millions of dollars invested in these farms, and their lives, it's their life, and it's scary for these guys. And so they're very serious about finding a cure. And I've said it before, state agencies are swimming in money from this. They are getting millions of dollars in state and federal funding, and all they're doing is testing. And why? We already know we have it.
Right.
You're right.
I mean, we have, in the DNR's defense, you don't hear me say it very often anymore, but in the DNR's defense, they are not really a research facility. They're not. Right. They are there to enforce and to implement regulations based on research that's done, not necessarily do the research.
And they've kind of been thrown into this.
And they have. And so, trying to be a little bit fair with them,
right.
But they're, the testing, yes, it's crazy how similar this COVID thing has been as to what I've experienced with CWD, or we've all experienced with CWD over the last 10 years. Testing. Well, we know we have it.
Right.
So why continue to blow millions of dollars on testing when we know it's here?
Yeah.
So let's refocus. And I know, trying to get an idea of where it's at, and there's soil tests that are being done. There's been a link, and they think that there could be a deficiency in some of the soils that is making, the prion more susceptible, or the deer more susceptible. So there is some merit in the testing, but we know it's here. Why not allocate some of that testing money to research,
right,
and try to find a cure for this?
it. And that's kind of like what happened here with you mentioned COVID. It's funny because we all talked about this before the show tonight, and we're kind of all on the same page about Danny and I. We actually said this 2 weeks ago. I said, this looks a lot like the same path that we're taking with CWD here in Michigan.
Oh God!
With numbers and things like that, and I don't want to get into the media and how that's all being portrayed. Let's just focus on the problem. Let's figure out where our spots are, hot spots are, and things like that, which they're doing. And now, and much like what the federal government's doing, is now they're focusing on getting the right things to hospitals to take care of people and get them through it, while they're also researching and trying to develop a vaccine.
Yep, exactly. So it is crazy how similar the whole process has been. And just like with the COVID, the more testing you're going to do, obviously the more you're going to find.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it's not rocket. You test more, you're going to find more. Same thing with CWD. The more you test, the more you're going to find. Well, we know it's here.
We know it's here.
So
we know it's out there.
Yeah.
So
So I'm encouraged with the strides that they've made in the private industry, and it's the same thing with the COVID thing. What happened when the government stepped aside and started bringing in private industry?
Yeah, all of a sudden now we've got some movement.
All of a sudden, man, things start happening.
So the testing you're talking about on the humic acid, that's being done here in Michigan.
Yeah, over in the some of it is anyway. I know the Dennis Simpson's farm is called Simpson Whitetail Genetics. I know they've done some of that testing there. They actually took a lymph node from an infected deer and treated it with humic acid, and it killed the CWD.
Okay.
So, and I mean, I'm using the right terminology, but I mean that's in that video. They have eliminated, have had success in degrading the prion to the point where it's ineffective at doing anything.
Okay.
So,
well, I tell you what, we're right up against the end of the show here, and as I look at your feed coming in, it's getting dark.
It is.
So this happened to us last week with Ken. He was outside sitting in his vehicle, social distancing while he was talking to us, and it got dark. So.
Yep. Oh, it's a beautiful night out here, man. I'm just happy to be able to sit out here and enjoy the lake and live in a great neighborhood in a great country. And
amen.
It's just we've come through so many things as a country in the past that are maybe not quite this bad, but we're going to prevail for this, and I'm looking forward to get through it and getting back into our life as we know it. So.
Absolutely. Well, one thing I do want to say before we go, they talk about the greatest generation to ever live, and that's our grandfathers and grandmothers that were in World War II and what they endured.
Yep.
They went through that hell for 4 years. We've been in this for 3 weeks.
Yep.
And there's a lot of grumbling going on. Come on, people. We're going to get through this. And the younger generation right now, I don't want to say everybody, but there's a lot of the younger generations that are kind of turning a blind eye to this and doing things they shouldn't. Let's stay home. Let's self-distance. We're going to get through this.
Yep.
You can still go outside. You can still shoot your bow. You can still do your food plots.
Yep. You can still shed hunt. You can do all that stuff, and you got to use your head, and you got to think about. I find myself thinking about the other person more than I don't, because my wife comes home from work, from the hospital or from their office, and I don't know how many people she's been in contact with that I could have it.
Right.
So I don't want to give it to somebody for crying out loud. So I'm very, very conscious of of the person standing in my vicinity. I don't want to give it to them. So. I think, and you know what? What I found through this, when I'm in Meyer, if I have to go there or whatever, smile at some people, man. That smile is infectious, and people need to see it right now.
Yeah.
Because there's some people that are really scared right now, and just smile and just be kind.
Yep.
I sound like Ellen now, but
hey, you just gotta be a human being,
Yeah, exactly.
Like I said,
and there's people that are hurting and people that are suffering through this, and kindness can go a long way. So
yeah,
absolutely.
Like I said, we've got somebody very close to us here in our family. It's not a family member, but somebody we know that's in the hospital right now. That's on a ventilator, and there's thousands of people like that. It's not just because I know one person. There's thousands of people across the United States that wish they could. They wish they could sit at home with their family like what we're doing now, and they can't. So. Social distance, people.
Yep. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you guys very much. I appreciate your show and what you guys do, and thank you for being a great partner with Packer Maxx. And I believe in this product, and I believe in you guys, and I believe in humanity, and we're going to make this happen. So
absolutely, and we'll be the stronger for it. So
yep.
I tell you what, for those of you on the podcast, that'll do it for us this week. Y'all take care, social distance, and we'll be back again. Next week is Easter. We haven't decided if we're going to do a show yet, so stay tuned. We'll make an announcement on that. So for those of you on the podcast, take care and be safe. And for those of you on the live stream, well, we're not live streaming. We're pre-recorded, but same thing to you guys. Y'all take care, and we'll see y'all again hopefully next week. Be safe out there.
Thanks, guys.